supposed to drop off.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Okay, are we ready to get started?
We are here in California.
Okay. Here. People in California, this is Rose. Rose is running the class today, and Rose is the one who runs the campus in California. And Rose, so how many years has it now been since you were a student at Larson?
Ed, do we have to go there? Let's say 10 plus.
Oops.
It's been 10 plus.
10 plus years.
Yes.
It's closer to 20, right? Than 10?
Closer to 20 than 10.
Okay, so Rose started when she was in high school. But
It's been 20 years.
Rose has been with the school for, I don't know, I think it's 16 years, 17 years, 18 years, something like that, but a long time. How many?
20.
20
It was
years.
20 years in January.
20 years. It will be or it was?
It was.
Wow. Okay, well, we have to do something special today. 20 years that share, wow, I'm just kind of blown away. So Rose has been with the school for 20 years, so we're very fortunate that Rose is taking this call because, as everybody saw, Dennis was here today. Dennis is the one who's usually doing these calls. Dennis was a student also. And in all of the time that you've been at Larson, Rose, what percentage of staff were former students?
About 65 to 70%.
Yeah, so 2/3 of our staff are people who were students, and that's a thing that we encourage and need to do. You know, for the students in California to know, just this is kind of an FYI continuation of what we're doing here. The Nevada Department of Corrections has asked us to open a campus inside of one of the prisons, Southern Desert. And so, you know, the curriculum is different than the one that everybody in California deals with, but it's a big vote of confidence for the school to be able to go into an institution and deal with people that are there and help them while they're in, as opposed to while they're not in. So, like people at Casa Grande, if you had done this there and had done your employment planning, and if you had a job when you got to Casa Grande, wouldn't that be better? Okay, I mean, this is better than the alternative, but really where it should be is while you're there, right? Southern Desert or High Desert. So, and that's the segue to, you know, what are these schools about? Vocational schools are different from other schools in that the mission of a vocational school is to help people get employment. Typically, vocational schools deal with manual type stuff, engine repair, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, painting, stuff like that. But other vocational schools are like business schools, where you learn business so you can get a job. And this is that type of vocational school. And our main thing for the future for people is to learn the cloud. So it's internet, cloud-based, and we are a unique school in that we stress the importance of the cloud. Other schools teach cloud-based apps, or they teach how to use the internet, but it's not to the same level. It would be like if it was a plumbing school. If these other vocational schools were plumbing schools, they teach the cloud like somebody says, here's how you replace a washer. If your faucet doesn't work, here's how to replace a washer. Or if your toilet is clogged, here's how to unclog your toilet. That type of plumbing to real plumbing is like what these schools do to what we do when it comes to the internet. You know, they just teach you how to do the basics, but we teach people to be professionals at doing that. But every approximately 6 to 8 weeks, we go back and we talk about what our fundamental mission is, and that is employment. And somebody asked me over the weekend, well, why does Larson, why are you have 87% of the people who graduate or they get a job before they graduate, why are your numbers so high? And I think the starting point is that we treat people like adults. We don't treat people like your students. Now, and if you're a student, if you've gone through law school, my version of what a student is like is a lot different than anybody who hasn't gone to law school. Because when you go to law school, when you show up for class, you're supposed to know the material. You had to learn it on your own. And the reason to go to class is for the professor to ask you questions so you get to learn how to communicate, because that's what attorneys do, right? Fundamentally, they use their mouth, they've studied the thing, and they are able to be persuasive. They can communicate. So in law school, a student, a good student in law school is somebody who comes to class, they already know the material, and they're just learning to be persuasive. And they're learning to think critically. Oh, that guy, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Or that guy's version of the case is completely wrong. And that's what you do in law school. In college, it's closer to that, but it's not exactly that. In high school, it's one step further away. When you're in elementary school, which everybody here has gone through, the idea is you come to class and you don't know, right? You don't know the subject. The teacher teaches you the subject. You have workbooks to help you practice. At a certain point in elementary school, you start taking on homework and you practice what you learned where? In school. So when I say student here, I get that for different people, that means different things. So we treat people like adults, and when I say not like students, I mean not like elementary school or middle school or even high school. Because in high school, the starting point is we can't care more than you care. We meaning the instructor, right? When you're in elementary school, do good teachers care how you do, whether you learn? Right? When in high school, really good teachers care, but most teachers get that their job is to help you start being able to learn on your own. Okay? But you're still not an adult. When you're an adult and you go to work, you're expected to be prepared. Okay? Very few jobs have the position of, we hire people who know nothing about this at all. So our starting point of why are our numbers so high, I think it's because we treat our people like adults, and as adults you're expected to learn, be able to learn on your own. You have to learn the stuff on your own. The other thing is we expect people to be like adults, or we treat people like adults, and that means when it comes to employment, our people are proactive. What other people are what? What's the opposite? Reactive. They're reactive. What a typical vocational school or university or college does is they have a department called placement. And these schools all want high placement. So they think the solution to placement is we're going to hire somebody to get everybody a job. Now, if you're a student and somebody has a job to, their job is to help, is to do it for you, to teach you, what level of education is that? What do you fall back into? You fall back into elementary school type learning. I'm not responsible for my job. The guy in placement's responsible for a job. They're supposed to find places for me to interview. That's what everybody does. That's what these schools do. We are unique as a school that we have a proactive employment plan. Everybody else is reactive. And there are businesses out there that prey, and that's with an E, not an A, they prey on people to be reactive. Like how? What's a company that preys on people to be reactive? What would their business model be? what would they say to people? If they want you to be reactive, what would they say to you? A company in business to help you get a job, but they want you to be reactive.
Just send
Huh?
Send out 100 resumes. Just send them out to everybody.
Okay, so what would the company, so if the company wants you to be lazy and reactive when it comes to a job, what would they say to you to recommend that you continue to be reactive?
Let us find the job.
Yeah, we're going to send you leads, right? We'll send you leads every day. All you have to do is what? Huh? Follow up, right? Send them your resume. All you need to do is follow up. Those are companies that are in business for themselves. They want to make money, and what they want to do is instead of getting you to be proactive, they want to make it easy for you to be what? Reactive. They want to make it easy to be reactive, and they'll say other things like, we'll help you, what? Do your resume. We'll help you create your resume. Okay, we say that's completely wrong because you fall back into the mode of being an elementary school student where you think the teacher's job is to teach me. I just need to be a sponge. That's not what adults do. Adults take responsibility and say, I got to get myself a job. And so our numbers are 87% because people go out and get a job. And some people say, you know what? A bird in hand is worth two in the bush. I have to leave school because I have this job. Now, maybe that's good, maybe it's bad. On an individual basis, I would say I don't know. But I go to learning. What are the 3 stages in life?
Learning.
Okay, you need to have this written down. Learning,
Earning.
earning,
And yearning.
and yearning. The more you learn, the more you earn. The more you earn, the less you yearn. And these are the 3 stages. And so I defer to stay in school. But if people have an opportunity where they have a job, then sometimes the thing you have to do is you got to take the job. Sometimes you can come back to school later. Oftentimes, if you have a job, especially if it's a career, a calling, or destiny position, you need to seize the moment. And education has to take a back seat. It's not that education gets out of the car, it just takes a back seat. So we treat our students like adults, and adults know that they are responsible for themselves. That means adults know they have to learn the material. They don't say, it's not my fault, you didn't communicate clearly. Teacher, you're to blame, and that's why I don't say I'm the teacher, right? My title is not teacher. My title is director, because businesses have directors. And we want people to develop best habits for becoming good employees. So one area, again, is we want people to become adults, take responsibility for their education and for their employment. And when you take responsibility, what is that called in terms of a learning? What's the second letter? You become autodidactic, right. So when you take responsibility and you know that you have to learn it, it's up to me, you become an autodidact. And if you become an autodidact, you're more valuable because you're not an employee who says, just tell me what to do. You figure out what needs to get done. You're the employee who says to the boss, what can I do to help you? Because you have confidence that you can figure it out. If you don't know how to do something, you can figure it out. You learn how to do it. And so, if you think on our Friday quizzes support people becoming autodidactic, which is thinking and solving problems on your own. That's the essay part of most of the exams, is you have to actually turn beliefs into knowledge, and then you become more valuable. So that's our goal. That's what we do. And the process we have is our proactive employment planning or proactive employment planning workshop. So this week is the workshop to do that. And what you have to start with is accepting that as an adult, you're responsible for your own life. And when we get thrown in an environment where we're students, it's easy to think that the teacher's responsible. But here, as adults, we have to accept, number one, I'm responsible for my future, for my well-being, my destiny, my etc. And so when it comes to the employment planning workshop, we need to be proactive, not reactive. Okay, what is reactive again? What's reactive employment planning?
Expect people and
Okay.
everything to you.
Okay, but what is it actually? Huh? Okay, but what is reactive? If it comes to a job and you're being reactive, what do you do?
Tell you what you're supposed to do.
You don't have a job yet. You're looking for a job and it's reactive.
You wait for it to come to you.
Okay, so the thing now, everybody should start with a white page in your book, clean page in your composition book, and title it Employment Planning. Employment Planning. And then put the date. And then put 1, reactive. And that is you wait for a job to become available. Okay, that's reactive. I wait till somebody posts a thing saying we're hiring people, and what do? I respond. Okay, that's reactive, right? That's a reaction. Cause, reaction. Action, reaction. They acted. They said we're hiring people, and we reacted. Okay? Number 2 is proactive. So how would we change this thing to, instead of being reactive, how would we change this to be proactive?
You go after the job.
Well, how to find a job.
Yeah. Or you can just say, don't wait. Do not wait for a job to become available. It means go to the employer, go to the employer before they put the ad in the paper. Does anybody think that there are some employers that will hire people without having to put an ad in the paper? Yeah. I mean, it could be the boss, let's pretend it's me, says to Phyllis, hey, Dan didn't show up today. Can you put an ad on the paper? We need to hire somebody. It could be that instant in time, just before we put the ad in the paper. If somebody walked in the door before Phyllis put the ad in the paper, I said, wow, your timing is perfect. We were just going to put an ad in the paper for the position that you want. So proactive is you go get the job before they come to you. Now in that case, Phyllis didn't have that example. Phyllis didn't have the opportunity to put the ad in the paper. The guy walked in the door after I told her to do it. Could be that close in time to being somebody putting an ad in the paper. Could be that close. Does anybody think, so everybody gets that that situation could occur, right?
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't show up, the boss says put an ad in the paper, and then before the ad gets put in the paper, somebody knocks on the door and says, are you hiring? Okay. How about, does anybody think that there could be companies that are growing so much that they're just always hiring people. Does anybody think that's possible?
McDonald's.
No, I know a lot of companies that are doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody think there's a company that might have employees they don't like, and they say, you know what, we got to get rid of that guy, but not today because I've got something else to do today.
Plus, a lot of these places keep their, any resumes that you send in to these companies, they usually keep them on file.
Yeah, they do, but it's so easy to do it again. Usually they don't spend a lot of time calling people back who applied a year, 6 months, 3 months ago. They can't. If they have somebody they really like, they might. But it's just so easy to put an ad out there, throw the bait in the water, and see all of the fish swim to the bait. So we've agreed there are companies that are about to hire about to place an ad. Somebody walks in. We've agreed there are companies that are growing fast and they're always looking for people. And I think we agreed there are companies that have people they'd like to get rid of, but they don't have anybody to replace them with, right? Does anybody think there could be companies that say, you know what, we'll make a position for you? Does anybody think that's possible?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, is it possible? Is it possible that there are companies that say, you're so good, you have such a good attitude, or you have the skills we need, we're going to find a place for you because you're going to make me money or save me money. You're not going to cost me money.
There's a lot of companies too that if you apply for and they've already filled that position and another position opens up, they'll transfer those funds.
Okay, so that would be another thing of, well, the position, this position is full, but we have these other positions. Okay, that's mainly on the reactive side, though. You applied for this job over here, that job isn't available, and they throw another reactive thing out of, well, we have this other thing. Do you think you'd be interested in that? Okay, I don't want to go on the side of reactive because everybody already knows how to do the reactive thing. Okay, and the reactive thing could be good, but what if everybody's doing the reactive thing?
Not many opportunities for you.
Right, you're just part of the flow. So does anybody remember the Dr. Seuss thing, the Sneetches? No one? These yellow things that some of them had a green star on their stomach, and somebody invented a machine so everybody could have green stars. So everybody wanted to have a green star, and then the people who didn't have green stars became more popular. And it's like whatever everybody is doing, you should think about doing something different. So our approach is proactive. Go find an employer. And so now another thing to put on your page is job and career. Okay? What's a job?
So you
Something you do for what?
Money.
Okay, right.
pay the bills.
Something you do to pay the bills. If you don't have any bills to pay, should you just go get a job? Right, why not? What should you do?
Career.
Okay, well, if money is not an object, you know, what we learned this morning, or what the argument this morning from Plato was to seek knowledge. Seek knowledge, learn. A job is something you need to do to pay the bills. Is that bad or good? Right, it's neither, it's neutral. It becomes bad if you stop looking for a career. If phenomenology kicks in and you say, God, I hate my job, your phenomenology should kick in and you should say, wait a second, let me look at that. Why is it that I hate my job? Well, because it sucks. Okay? But at that point, once you find out that you hate your job, then what should you do? You should change it. If you hate your job, you should change it. If you find, I hate this sucks, you should get a different job. If you find that year after year after year you're in the same job and you hate it, that's now become your career. And now you become labeled as what? No, you are a wage slave. You've traded your freedom for having the appearance of freedom on Saturday and part of Sunday. Friday night, Saturday, and part of Sunday. And so you've given up your freedom because I have to go do this. I'm a slave. I have to go do this Monday through Friday. And we kind of get conditioned to believe work is not supposed to be enjoyable. You have an attitude of, well, my dad hated his job. He worked in a coal mine. You're not supposed to like working in coal mines. Or my dad was a janitor at Walmart. You're not supposed to like doing that. You're supposed to hate your job. No, you're not supposed to hate your job. You're supposed to do things that you gladly give up most of your life, spend most of your life doing. That should be something you like doing, right? So that's what we call a career. We call that a career, doing something that you want to do. Okay, what you want to do as that. And we have two types. What are they?
Destiny and calling.
Okay, so we have a calling. And what's a calling?
Something you would do for free.
Okay, a calling is you do it for free. Now, the key word is you would, not you will. Okay, we're not saying to people what you need to do for your career is go work for free. We're not saying that at all. It's something that you like doing so much you do it for free. And they pay you because they give you what you're worth, a part of what you bring into that company. Good employers say, you help me, I help you. Bad employers say, I'm only going to pay you what I need to pay you because I can replace you with someone else for $10 an hour. That's what bad employers say. Okay, good employers say, I pay you what you're worth to me. You're making my life better. I reciprocate and I make your life better. That's what good employers do. So calling is something you do for free. And then what is a destiny? Anybody other than Robert? Or we'll call on Robert?
Something you would pay to do.
Yeah, something you pay to do. That's a destiny.
It's the module is right next to the container part and went all the way into that in number 7.
Okay. If you are on the reactive approach, do you think, what's the probability you're going to find one of these?
It's not good.
Right. Why?
It takes so much luck to fall into one of those.
Well, they go out and look for these people. Good employers look for people who have this attitude. These are the kind of people that go to graduate school, get doctorate degrees. You know, you don't become a rocket scientist, spend all that time to go to school to become a rocket scientist, unless you'd be willing to either do it for free or pay to do it, right? Okay, but they do pay them. They get paid, but they don't put ads in the paper. Okay, NASA does not put an ad in the paper for people. JPL doesn't put an ad in the paper. The Salk Institute doesn't put ads in the paper. They go find the people who they want to work for them. They hire headhunters, or they have key people in the industry they know, and they say, do you got any students who we should get here? You see movies, John Grisham movies, where the attorney's in law school, he's about to get out of law school, and the law firms go to the school, and they have job fairs at the school where they're looking for the top students to recruit. Okay, that's not a reactive thing. Now, my hunch is when Sean was in school, did you go to a job fair for your accounting employer?
Yeah.
Okay. They go find the best people. They don't put an ad in the paper and say, I wonder who's going to show up. So the reactive approach really doesn't work for this. So there's a high probability if you're being reactive, you're going to end up with a job. And then what happens when you get into a job and you find out you don't love it? Do you put extra time into it? You could be a good employee, like let's say the president of the school, Sean's friend, Brendan. Our boss, okay? His daytime job is he works for the county. There's a high-level, very important job with the county in building, planning, building type things. He does not love his job. It affords him a good living. He doesn't love it. And so he doesn't strive to be more than what his job requirements are. But he was recruited from Oregon, brought down here because the city was growing and they needed specialists to help them do it. But it's not a calling or destiny for him. But it's not something he hates doing. He doesn't show up and say, I hate doing this every day. So if you are reactive, you're probably not going to find something that you would do for free or you pay to do. So the question is, why would you want to take a job like that? Why would you want to do that? And the only valid answer is, I have bills to pay. I need to make money, but what should you be doing? Should you become a wage slave? You should look for something that you do for free or pay to do. So our proactive employment plan is designed to give people the process of how do you do it. Because if you just say, hey, go find something you want to do for free or you'd pay to do you think you can just walk in there and say, I'd do this for free? Okay. You have to have a plan. You have to persuade them that you're the person that they want to hire. And that's where the plan comes in. So if you do this, if you do the proactive employment plan, you will end up here. If you do it, you will end up in one of these two places. But like most things in life, this takes more work than just being reactive. And so we always get to this point with students who've been here for a while, or now towards the end, and they don't have this done. It's part of our human nature. We put off doing things until we're forced to do it. But people that take responsibility can say, I'm only going to get to a position if I take control of myself. They do it, they don't wait. The good news is, even for people who are graduating this week, so that's Anthony or Sean, who else is graduating this week? Eric, are you?
I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay, Rodney, are you? Okay. Okay, so it's still not too late. And the basic idea is you can do this as long as you're working this. In fact, you can do anything. You can do telemarketing and do a good job at telemarketing if you're saying to yourself, I'm just waiting for my thing. Who's an example that says of people that say, I'm just doing this because I'm waiting for my thing to happen? Actors, right. That's the best example. Entertainers. Okay, musicians. At nights, I go out and I'm playing for free in these bars. I'm getting practice. I'm getting experience. I'm hoping somebody's going to notice me. You know, I'm refining my skills. I have a full-time job during the day, and here's what I do at night, right?
Yeah. These office skills that you're learning right here are actually
Okay, listen, we are
Very,
all the way
very
at the
good
back.
basic entry for any office position. So don't be afraid to send resumes to positions that.
Okay, so disregard what Monica's saying because that's being reactive, and we're not talking about being reactive. So we'll come to that though. But we need to get everybody to break from this thing of just send stuff to offices. But to close up and be fair, you could say, I really want to do this. I want to write applications. I want to write apps for phones. It's a cloud-based app. I want to write an app for everybody that works to have this app to make their life better. But in order to write an app that makes life better for people, I need to know what people in offices do. I need to have experience working in an office. Or I need to have a job to pay my bills, so at night, when I spend 6 hours every night learning how to do apps, I need to have bills paid, and I really don't want to be too tired at night because I've had a physical job of being a waiter. So it's okay to be reactive for your job, but not for this. This you need to be proactive. So the basic approach is figure out, number one, what would I do? What do I like doing so much I'd be willing to do it for free or pay to do it? So Moses, what do you like doing so much you'd be willing to pay to do or do for free?
Transform something ugly into something beautiful.
Like, but as a job, like what?
Landscape.
Okay, landscaping, okay. So you like doing landscaping. If somebody says, hey, we need somebody who loves doing landscaping that wants, it's not just cutting the lawn, it's about making somebody's house into a home, place where they can go and people can look at it and say, wow, that looks nice. That's what you would want to do. Okay, Lisa, do you know what you would do?
Something in sales.
Really? You like selling that much?
I really do. I'm really.
Okay, well, boy, do we have something for you. Okay.
Turning down these phone
Good.
calls.
Okay, so the first thing everybody has to do is you have to say, what would I be willing to do for free? What do I like doing? What do I like doing that I would do for free? Now, Ed, you could say, I really like truck driving, or you could say, you know what, it just was good money. I didn't really care for it. There's a lot of hassles, a lot of pressure. You're under these deadlines. Nobody ever says, good job. It's always people complain when you don't do something, right? So you might say, I really like driving, or you might say, I really don't like it, but the money's good. And I just ignore them when they hassle me. But everybody needs to figure out, what would you do? Because that goes to the old saying of, if you don't know where you're going, what? Any road will get you there. If you don't know what you want to do, and by this stage as an adult, you should be able to say, I really like this. I wish I could do that. I want to be a this. And so take a job until that occurs. You want to be an actor, you take a job as a waiter until you land a job as an actor. And what do you say to yourself while you're a waiter? Well, you say, I'm doing it to pay my bills. Then you let synthetic happiness occur, and you turn that job into something where you can practice being an actor. Right? If you're a waiter, can you practice like you're from Scotland? Okay. Can you practice like you're Rain Man? Probably not a good idea. But you can. And then when people get frustrated with you, you say, just kidding, I'm practicing for a role. I'm really an actor. And if you say that, what are people going to say? Who you're waiting on.
Are all waiters going to be actors?
No, if you show up at the table and you're a waiter, but you are
I'm gonna show you more
somebody
respect.
who has Asperger's, very bad, you're like Rain Man. First, they're going to be worried and scared, right?
Yes,
Wouldn't you be if a waiter came up to you and was like that? Okay, and then if you said, I'm just kidding, I'm an actor, I'm just practicing because I'm going for this role, you might get into it. Right? You might say, wow, cool. We might see that guy in the future in this movie, and we were there, and you might go talk to your friends about the lunch that you had at that restaurant or that dinner that you had, where you had this guy who's an actor, but he's pretending that he was Rain Man, and it was tough. You might do that. But that's what actors do when they're waiters, is they use that experience of being a waiter into a learning thing or practicing their skills. That's what they do. They let synthetic happiness kick in. And what would the irreversible condition be here? For the waiter.
You gotta pay the bill.
I got to pay my bills. This is what I'm doing until that comes in. I'm always focused on where I want to be, but this is where I am now. This is the picture that I'm giving up because they're sending it to headquarters in 5 minutes. I'm never going to see it again. Okay? So today is the day that for people graduating this week, you really need to have an idea of what you want to do. And everybody who's graduating this week, I know this isn't the first time we've talked about this, but you've got to figure out what it is. And then you have to have, just skipping ahead, because we only have about 8 minutes, then you have to create a plan on how to get a job. But before you can create a plan to get a job, what do you need to do? Huh? No. You already know what you want to do. Okay, what do you need to do? No, you don't have a plan yet. You need to do research. So this should be on your page. What are you going to research first of all? Okay, first you need to research and make sure it's very clear exactly what the position is. So you need to research and be clear on the position. You can't just say, I want to work in a restaurant. Well, as what? Chef, the greeter, bookkeeper, the cleaning person, the prep cook, the waiter, cocktail waitress. You know, what is the exact position? The more exact, it's like a magnifying glass with the sun, right? Can you burn a piece of paper with sunlight? How? With a magnifying glass. How about without a magnifying glass? You can't. Just with the sun. Okay? Just with the sun. Okay, you need a way to focus the sun's energy onto that piece of paper, and it will light that paper. And that's the same thing here regarding position. You can't just say, I want to work at a veterinarian's office. Doing what? And you have to answer the question, well, I want to do this, but I'm willing to do anything to get started, because once I'm there, I have the opportunity to keep moving up. Okay, I want to own a mining company. What do you need to do before you own a mining company? Tim? No, before you own a mining company, what do you need to do? Yeah, you probably need to work there, unless you have a lot of money and you can buy it. So I have a brother that's an executive in a, they call it like a large diameter pipeline company. What's that mean?
Big pipes.
Okay, like what? Water lines. Okay, so in this city, if you go to a place and the streets are torn up because they're putting water lines in, okay, that's probably the company that my brother is. So he always wanted to own a company like that. He had to wait till the partner died. He and the partner bought the estate, the guy's wife. Big pipeline company called Country. So first you have the petition. Then what do you do? What's the next thing? What research? You need to find the company. Find, and as Phyllis said, 3 to 5 companies that do what it is you want to do. Okay, so this isn't like, you know, I want to be a dog groomer, so I need to find 3 to 5 companies that have dog groomers. You need to find 3 to 5 good companies that have employees who are dog groomers. Could be a zoo. Could be SeaWorld. You know, a lot of things it could be. So you find 3 to 5 companies. And you need to know more about, you need to say to yourself, I need to know more about this company than the person interviewing me. Why? Why do you need to do that? Why do you need to know more about that company than the person interviewing you? Okay, what's the number one question they're going to ask you? Why do you want to work for us? And they're going to try to trick you by asking questions like, how many other places are you working? Where else have you applied? And if you're on the reactive side, what are you going to say? It's either the truth or you're going to lie. You don't start relationships off with a lie. If you tell the truth and say, well, I send out about 10 resumes a day. I've been doing it for the last 10 days. I've been doing it for the last 2 months. In their brain, what are they going to say? If you say, I've been sending out 10 resumes a day, I've been doing it for the last 2 months, what are they going to say? Well, first they're going to say, wow, that's a big number.
Why hasn't he been hired?
Okay, why hasn't he been hired? And you obviously don't really care about working here, right? You're just looking for one of these. If I'm in charge of interviewing, I'm in charge of HR, do I want this person? Or do I want somebody who would be willing to do it for free? Somebody I can count on. When there's a project, we need people to come in tonight, we need people to stay late. Do I want the person who says, I'm just here to pay the bills? Or do we want this person? We want one of these people. So if you know more about the company than the person interviewing you, should you be able to be persuasive when they ask the question of why do you want to work here? Should you be persuasive? Yeah, you should be able to be persuasive. Now, what do you, if you've done this plan and you're looking at 3 to 5 companies, and they say, where else are you looking? And you say, well, you and 4 companies that are like you. You don't need to say the names of the companies. You don't want to play cat and mouse. But just, you can start with you and 4 companies that are like you. Not 4 of your competitors, but just 4 companies like you. And then when you start showing that you really know about this company, what do they start thinking about you? Huh? Well, what do they start thinking about you? Not about, that's about them.
This is what they want to do. This
Huh? Your value goes up, right? Your value to them goes up. If you're able to articulate this and you say, I'm talking to you and 4 companies like you, and you really know about the business. Now, what happens if you say, well, you and 4 companies like you, but you don't really know the business? What could go on in that person's mind? Huh? Okay, but what else? Okay, we're going to end on this. Huh? People who are smart interviewing people say, wow, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He has the balls to come in here and hope that we're going to hire him. He's looking at our competitors. Let's help him get a job there because it's going to help us if this guy works for them. They do that. Good companies care about themselves and they care about their competition. Do you think Apple's attitude towards IBM, towards Microsoft was, they do what we do, we do what we do? Right. Their attitude was, somebody's either going to buy, unless we get them to buy an Apple, they're going to buy a Microsoft product. Somebody comes in here who sucks, we want them to get a job at Microsoft. Okay? They do that. And anybody, watch the Steve Jobs movie about how he felt about Microsoft. And when you get up there to really good companies, let's say Tesla, do you think Tesla says, hey, we're just another car company? People buy cars from us, so they buy cars from other people. We want everybody to win. No, they're on a mission. They think part of their mission is to save humanity. Nobody should be driving around in cars that use oil as fuel, not as a lubricant. Nobody should be driving around in these cars. So anybody who's good and anybody who believes that has talent, we want them to work at Tesla. Anybody who's bad, go work for our competition because that makes it easier for us. So the second thing is you find 3 to 5 companies who do what you do your research on them, so when they ask you the questions, you have compelling answers. Okay? So proactive employment plan is not really that much harder, but you have to act like an adult. You can't act like somebody who says, I want somebody else to do the work for my future. When I say it that way, it sounds kind of stupid, right? It's my life, but I'm going to turn it over to somebody else. Is that a good strategy? No, it's not really a good strategy. Unless you happen to be someplace really good and you have confidence that they're going to do the right things. But really, the starting point is, I'm an adult, I'm responsible for my future. Anybody who tells me, just let me look for the jobs for you, because I'm really good at this, your attitude should be kind of like, well, you don't even know me. How can you say to me, just let me handle finding you a job? That sounds stupid on the face of it, right? Okay? But that's what we're conditioned to believe. That people say, I'm better at finding a job for you than you're better than getting a job for yourself. Let me handle it, and they tap into your elementary school student teacher conditioning, the little subroutine in your brain. Okay, so California, we're out of time. We're over time. I apologize again. And is Dennis going to be back tomorrow?
No, he will be back on Wednesday.
He will be back Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Rose, it was nice to talk to you. How's the new campus working out?
Great.
Good.
Adjusted very well.
Good. Well, I said to Dennis today, in the last 3 weeks, we've had 12 people graduate. And so we're now down to, what was it, Phyllis, 16? 17. We're now down to 17, but we're going to get back up. Sherry's going to focus on that.
Oh, great. We're running strong with about 25.
Okay, good. Great. Terrific. Well, Rose, thank you for being there, and thank you, people in California. And we hope for rain.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome, and you guys have a great day.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.